Now, again, my name is Brett Siegel, covering for Gary Franchi, with a story that shows exactly why Trump is different. Hours ago, we had hope, a ceasefire between Iran and Israel. Trump's masterwork, first obliterating Iran's nuclear program with B-2 bombers, then immediately brokering peace. No American casualties, no regime change, just raw power followed by real diplomacy. But that ceasefire, already violated. People already dead. Missiles flew, families died, and both sides point the finger at each other. Yet watch how Trump responds, not with more bombs, but with brutal honesty about both nations' failures. I mean, he dropped a few F-bombs. He's defending our pilots, demanding accountability, and refusing to play the same old Middle East games. This is what leadership looks like This is what leadership without illusions looks like. Brace yourself. When ceasefires collapse and global tensions explode, parents need their kids grounded in truth, not propaganda. This is why the Tuttle Twins created Liberty First content that teaches children real economics, personal responsibility, and constitutional principles. While schools push conformity, Tuttle Twins build critical thinkers. Their monthly magazine uses comics, activities, and real-world lessons to arm your kids against indoctrination. In times of global chaos, the next generation needs wisdom, not worry. They need to understand freedom, not fear it. Subscribe for just $56 a year at TuttleTwins.com/next. Because when peace treaties fail, principles must prevail. Don't let them brainwash your children. You know, the ceasefire may be dead, but before you hear the media spin, witness what President Trump accomplished before it collapsed. This wasn't Obama's red line. This wasn't Bush's shock and awe. This was surgical precision married to immediate diplomacy. Watch Trump explain the bottom line on Iran's nuclear ambitions. No scripts, no teleprompter, just truth about where Iran stands now. Take a look.
President, did Iran make any commitments yesterday about uranium enrichment?
About what?
About uranium enrichment.
They're not going to have enrichment, and they're not going to have a nuclear weapon, and they know that. They're going to get on to being a great trading nation. You know, they're very good traders. And they're going to be a great trading nation, and they have a lot of oil. They're going to do well. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
So did they promise?
The last thing on Iran's mind right now is nuclear weapons.
The last thing on Iran's mind right now is nuclear weapons. Why? Because their program is buried under tons of mountains. Those B-2 pilots delivered a message Tehran cannot ignore. But Trump is not a warmonger. When asked about regime change, the neocon fantasy that's destroyed nations, watch his response. This is American realism, not American imperialism. Take a look.
Do you want to see regime change in Iran?
No. If there was, there was. But no, I don't want it. I'd like to see everything calm down as quickly as possible. Regime change takes chaos. And ideally, we don't want to see so much chaos. So we'll see how it does. You know, the Iranians are very good traders, very good business people. And they got a lot of oil. They should be fine. They should be able to rebuild and do a good job. They're never going to have nuclear, but other than that, they should do a great job.
It's crazy how he's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't. You know, now that he made this historic military action, they're saying, you broke it, you bought it. Not really. No regime change. Let them rebuild. Let them trade. But no nukes. Ever. That's the deal. Simple, clear, and final. Trump's fury at fake news isn't just personal. It's about honor. Watch him defend the B-2 pilots CNN tried to diminish. These warriors flew 30 hours through Iranian air defenses. They deserve respect, not this weird revisionism that CNN and the mainstream media like to do. Let's take a look.
And I will tell you, the last thing on their minds is nuclear weapons. They don't even want to think about nuclear. And our B-2 pilots made this all possible. They had a magnificent hit in the dark of night with no moon, no light, no nothing. They hit the target perfectly, wiped it out. And the press is very disrespectful. I saw CNN fake news going, well, maybe it wasn't a perfect hit, it was perfect. They said maybe it did destroy it. We agree, it did destroy it, but maybe it could have destroyed it more. No, it couldn't have destroyed it more. Everyone hit. And it's very disrespectful to those great geniuses and patriots that flew those planes through tremendous danger. So CNN and MSDNC are a disgrace. And so are the others. I mean, they're pretty much all a disgrace.
I totally agree with that. I mean, the mainstream media is it's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. You know, it was a perfect strike. Every target hit in pitch black darkness, no moon. And CNN questions if it was really destroyed. They're not attacking the mission. They're attacking Trump through the pilots. This is just another way to get at Trump and undermine his authority. Senator Eric Schmitt called it a masterclass. Watch him explain what makes Trump different from every other president in 30 years. This is why the establishment hates his guts. He's like Teflon.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty incredible. It's a real masterclass, Laura, and I think they'll be writing books about this, the way to end the 12-day war. It was a precision, very limited engagement. Those B-2s that took off from my home state of Missouri executed something pretty remarkable in the air for 30 hours, basically dropped those bunker busters on something the size of a wheelbarrow to take out their nuclear program. Again, very precise, very limited. And then President Trump, which I think is very unique to him, certainly the presidents over the last 30 years, he immediately got on the phone and tried to broker peace. He is the peace president. That's his natural inclination. And who would have thought, if you were sitting here just a couple of years ago, that you'd have Israel and Iran at the table here with a ceasefire, Hezbollah, Hamas completely wiped out, the Abraham Accords maybe on the march.
Right.
President Trump's done something I think that nobody could have imagined, and he did it in a way that's true to sort of his American realism, right? He takes these enemies as they are, these actors on the world stage as they are, not as an ideologue, not as somebody who wants permanent regime change or get pulled into a Middle East war. There were a lot of voices out there here in permanent Washington that wanted more engagement. And President Trump, you know, I think he had that restraint and that instinct to do what needed to be done to bring about peace, and it's pretty dramatic, and it's incredible, really.
God, this conflict is such a nail biter. You know, precision engagement, immediate peace talks, no endless occupation. Trump took out their nuclear capacity and then picked up the phone. That's not weakness, that's wisdom. Vice President Vance revealed the stakes. Without a single American casualty, we eliminated an existential threat. Watch him explain what this means for long-term peace. Take a look.
Seconds ago, the president went to Truth Social and typed this. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire. Complete and total ceasefire is what he typed.
Yep.
What does that mean? How did it come about? What's the development here?
Well, we were actually working on that just as I left the White House to come over here. So that's good news that the president was able to get that across the finish line. I think what it means, Brett, is quite simple. First of all, the president, without, knock on wood, having a single American casualty, obliterated the Iranian nuclear program. We are now in a place where we weren't a week ago. A week ago, Iran was very close to having a nuclear weapon. Now, Iran is incapable of building a nuclear weapon with the equipment they have because we destroyed it. So that's a very, very big thing. Now, what that means, I think, is we have to talk to Iran and, of course, to Israel about what the future holds. Because while we have obliterated the Iranian nuclear program, our hope and our expectation is that they're not going to try to rebuild that program. And I think that's what the president is really trying to figure out here, is to build a long-term settlement here to where we can have peace in the region, where our regional allies and, of course, the American people, most importantly, can be secured, but where we can ensure that the destruction of the Iranian nuclear program that has already happened is not something they try to rebuild.
You know, a week ago, Iran was close to nuclear weapons. Today, they're incapable of building them. They could barely build a lemonade stand at this point. The equipment is gone. The facilities are. The dream is dead. But not everyone celebrates American success. Like our mainstream media, the scumbags over at MSDNC, and the Communist News Network, CNN. Watch Scott Jennings destroy Cornel West's moral equivalence argument. That guy's such a putt. Some battles are just. Some victories are necessary. Take a look.
You can't violate national sovereignty of a country.
Why?
Why?
We do it all the time.
I know, because America violates international law.
Who's going to stop us?
Decades, you would think morality ought to play some role.
You think it's immoral to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon?
I think that any conditions.
Who's the moral
under
actor here,
which-
Iran or the United States?
In terms of ensuring that we don't have nuclear bombs anywhere?
No,
You think-
in terms of ensuing these butchers don't have nuclear bombs that they have fully said they will use on Israel.
Well, we got a
This
larger
is the
discussion.
world-
We've got
Hold on.
United States,
There's no
Israel.
equivocation.
Hold on, Scott.
What they've done in Gaza gives neither one of them moral authority. That's a genocide, it's ethnic cleansing. Israel has no moral authority. United States has no moral authority.
Disagree.
You think there's some? No, we just have deep disagreements on that. But I'd like to hear your Christian formulation.
So
on
your
this. Where does the
alternative
cross
is to
play a
allow
role?
them to develop
Where
and
does the
deploy
cross
a
play a
nuclear
role,
weapon?
my brother?
Hold on a second.
Where does the love? Where's the love for you, for Iranians, and for Palestinians and others?
We don't live in a theocracy, but they do, and their theology.
I don't defend theocracies.
Their theology is to get a nuclear weapon, destroy Israel, and destroy the great Satan, which is the United States. Our government is based on one thing: national defense. And what's in the best interest of our national defense is for these fanatics not to have a nuclear weapon where they can wipe us off the map. It has nothing to do with Christian or whatever. It has everything to do with national defense.
And you don't think there's fanatics?
Look at him getting that guy's face. Where's the love, brother? Where's the love? I can't believe some people have jobs. It just makes me crazy. That guy is such a putz. Cornell West. Where's the love, brother? Where's the love? Like, this is what qualifies as commentary. This is what qualifies as political commentary. You know, national defense isn't theology, it's survival. Iran's regime wants nuclear weapons to destroy Israel and America. That's what they do. Stopping them isn't immoral. Letting them win is. The secret diplomatic channel tells the real story. Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, kept talking even as bombs fell. This wasn't random violence. It was calculated de-escalation. Take a look.
That Donald Trump's Mideast envoy, Steve Witkoff, has remained in contact with Iranians since those U.S. weekend strikes. What does that tell you about this moment in this conflict?
I think it really speaks to the fact that both Tehran, but also the Trump administration and the president himself are looking for off-ramps. And the fact that there are channels open, direct or indirect lines over multiple parties, from the Omanis to the Qataris to the Turks. There are many countries trying to find ways to bridge the divide. That's very important. What's really urgently needed is an opportunity for the Iranian foreign minister and Steve Witkoff to speak, perhaps without so much pomp and circumstance, but privately, discreetly, to take the temperature down and to find ways of de-escalation. There is a moment right now where the Iranians have clearly signaled they're looking to de-escalate. President Trump appears to look like he's willing to climb down after having struck Iran in an unprecedented way. So it's about giving space for that de-escalation to happen. And then, of course, building out what the diplomatic discussions will be and what both sides can agree upon at the negotiating table.
Can you imagine how many moving parts this is for Trump? I mean, talk about 4D chess. I mean, people accuse him of, you know, when they say, "Oh, well, maybe I'll do it within 2 weeks. I'll do it within 2 weeks," and then overnight, you know, he just obliterates the enemy with a strike. I mean, I just imagine this big, gigantic chessboard. But Trump is actually really super good at this. And I don't know why anybody's surprised. I mean, can you imagine how many moving parts it takes to build a skyscraper? The guy's got like 50 of them. This is what he does. He works with moving parts. I mean, we could say he builds things, right? But no. He's just a master at the impossible ballet of moving parts that has to take place in order to achieve a goal. You know, that's really what he's good at. And it could be any goal, whether it's building a skyscraper or ushering in world peace. Multiple parties, Omanis, Qataris, Turks, all trying to bridge divides. Trump's team worked every angle while maintaining military pressure. That is some sophisticated statecraft. Yes, the ceasefire failed, but Iran's nuclear program is still gone. Israel and Iran are still talking, and America lost 0 soldiers, achieving what others said required full-scale war. It's going to be World War III. Talk about the, fear mongers. Now, if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. This is what America First looks like in action. No body bags, no trillion-dollar occupations, no nation-building fantasies. Just American power used precisely, then American diplomacy deployed immediately. The ceasefire may have collapsed, but Iran's nuclear program remains in ruins, and it'll stay that way. If they try to rebuild, we're gonna reduce it to rubble again. That's the permanent victory nobody's discussing. Trump proved you can eliminate existential threats without becoming the world's policeman. He showed strength without stupidity and force without forever wars. The establishment wanted regime change. The military-industrial complex wanted massive deployments. Trump gave them neither. He gave America results. And when fake news attacked our pilot's honor, he fought back harder than any president in history. Now, that guy is pissed. Now, here's my question. Is Trump's approach to devastating military strikes followed by immediate peace talks the right strategy for dealing with America's enemies? Yes or no? Let me know below. Support real journalism at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.